Hi there, folks, and welcome to another episode of Michael's Backyard Marina, proudly sponsored by SEI Marine. Let's get started. Now, you guys saw this boat on the channel about 8-9 months ago now. It's a 1973 Cobalt, and I called it a survivor boat. This boat has been around, floating around and motoring around for 50 years. Well, it has a little issue. Engine runs fantastic. But here again, this one has an SC106 outdrive that somebody installed on it. Previous owners actually did. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we'll call them. And they had a leaking, they had water getting into the gearbox oil. So they decided to replace it. So I'm not sure what age this one is. I'd actually have to pull it off and look at the serial number and talk to somebody at SEI. But it seems to perform well. When I drained the oil out of it, it was perfectly clean. But just like the other boats, the Starcraft, it has a leaky hydraulic system, and it won't hold the boat up on plane. It'll leak down about 2 or 3 inches after about 3 or 4 hours, if it's all the way trimmed up. And we're going to address that today. So SEI has provided us with a pump, 2 internal hoses, 2 lift cylinders, the bottom kit, hose connection kit from inside to outside, 4 stainless steel lines, 2 new lift cylinder or 2 new pivot point, where your cylinders hook up, all new rubber bushings, and all new washers. So let's get started and see what it's going to take, and I'll kind of walk you through everything I'm doing here to get this thing up and running and get this all repaired. Now I'm going to kind of call off the tools as I'm using them here. That's the wrong one already. Thought that was bigger. So we got 9/16. What the heck? Nope. (9/16) nut. Actually a 9/16 socket. The other unique thing about this particular one, it has 2 different lift cylinders on it. Somebody has replaced one at some point in history, because this has the different shoulder links here. So it's kind of a dead giveaway. We'll go ahead and take these 2 off back here as well. All the hardware that's provided from SEI is all stainless steel, which is awesome. So now I got my rubber persuader here. See if we can knock something loose. Oh yeah. Now your new kit comes with all this new hardware. You don't need any of this for your new install. Now down here on the underside, I need a 7/16. So you can take these lines off if you want. A little 3/8 wrench. Ooh, those are tight. Instead of taking these lines loose, I'm gonna try doing it like I did on the other one. I'll take these loose here. Then I'll pull this plate down and I'll be able to access the 2 lines that are going to the interior of the boat. Now we can get to these. Let's see if we can break them loose. Ta-da! There's your two lines going to the inside. Now we're getting ready to do a little cylinder preparation, so we don't have to do it out there in the outside. This is easy to do as a bench job. Then we can just go hang them out there on the boat. So we'll go ahead and remove both plugs. Now you have two of these bent lines. They are different part numbers. This end does go into this one. You can see how it won't go that way, so you know this one is for the other one. Pretty simple to figure out. As you can see here, this one needs to lay in that groove right there. Now I bring it out here away from that groove, and I get this thing started nice and loose. You want to bottom it out by hand as much as possible. Then you take your 3/8 wrench, and then what I do is I take the 3/8 wrench and I'll snug it up a little bit, because this is going to have to go into here, and it lays right down into here. So now that I've got that laying in there, I haven't got it clamped in here yet, but I'm going to go ahead and snug this up. This allows the seat to line up as square as possible with this mating piece and seal off. We'll put the other one on this one over here. Now we got to get the bolts and plates that hold this in place. So these little plates here, you want to make sure you put the radius toward this radius here. That'll be clearance for your bushing. You're going to have to kind of hold this down, get your bolt started. We'll take our 10mm ratchet wrench here. We'll just bring them on down to tight. Next, we'll go ahead and install the bent end here into the other hole on the lift cylinder. Now at this point, I don't tighten it all the way down. 3/8 here. I kind of point it in the same direction as the other one, because they actually come out right side by side with one another. So there, I'm just snugging it up a little bit. I'm not getting crazy on it. Right now they're just snug, they're not crazy tight. One thing I wanted to show you here is I hope I can get it in the shot here somehow, some way. Sometimes these cylinders may not be oriented correctly. Because what you're going to have, if you look straight down on this, I know this is going to be very hard for you to see. If I hold these up right next to each other, maybe that might be an easy way to show it. As you can see here, it's hard to see. But it's very important. These are marked port and starboard. If you mark them on the box, that way it'll be in the right orientation. But you can also see how these are pitched in toward each other, because these will be set up on the boat a little wider at the back, a little narrower at the front. And you want the front ones rotated in such a fashion that when these are pitched out, lined up, you know, so they're parallel with one another, if you're looking at the faces, that these two are also parallel with one another. If you find yourself fighting these bushings, it's a good chance you probably have these, one of these could be turned around a little bit, and that could cause you a little bit of a headache. So let's go back out in the boat and let's hang these on there. No reason why we can't. Always bring yourself a little bit of grease with you, because I like putting grease on all the shafts, and just some marine lube, Lucas marine grease on all the pieces, so it goes together even easier. First thing I do is throw some fresh lube on the shafts here. This one, we got the front one here. Oh yeah. Now it's modern day stuff. The tolerance is being held, all fits really nice into the 50-year-old boat. Got that there. Now you'll have 3 thin washers, and you'll have, or 4 thin washers and 4 thick washers. And you can't really get them backwards because the big washers fit over the shaft and the little washers, the thicker washers, will not. These don't need a lot of support because it's got this behind it. The outboard one has only the nut to hold it, so it needs a thicker washer for support. All your rubber pieces will be the same for both front and rear. Make sure you point the cone, the bigger cone, outward. There again, it's angled this way. We'll go ahead and stick this shaft on. Now what I did is I went ahead and installed the bushings and the nuts on the other side and washers. And we'll go ahead and do this side. Now once you've got your gasketed surface nice and clean and pristine, it's time to start fishing your hydraulic lines back up through that hole. Now I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but this is the way I do it. So you got your 2 hydraulic lines that need to go up through there, right? One end has a 90 degree and the other end has, let's say, 15 to 20 degree angle on it. You can't see it in here because I got it taped up. But I take the non-90 degree end and I stagger the fittings. So one end's here, one end's here, and I put tape around it to hold it together. And then I use this piece of clear fuel line, which is nice and pliable, strong, pullable, and you can fish it up through this bottom hole that we're getting ready to fish it up through to get back into the inside of the boat, and get these so that they're basically when they're in the boat, and what's sticking out the bottom here is sticking out about like yay. So they're both come up and they go right into the boat, and then we hook this end up to the hydraulic pump when we're all done. That's what I'm doing right now. So right through this hole is gonna go up and at 90 degrees in this way, pretty quick. So I kind of get the hose going in that direction. And then I feed this on up in there. It feels like it's going. Now I'll go on the inside of the boat and see what I can see. Now back deep in there, you gotta reach in and try to find it. Now it's helpful if you have a partner that can go up there and kind of tug on these a little bit to help feed them through, because it could be a handful by yourself. So I'm gonna call for help. All right, folks, I'm not gonna lie to you. That was a little tough. That was really tough, but I persevered. So what we've got going on here is I got my lines all hooked up, tightened down. I left this bottom plate off because I was trying to figure out what could this bottom plate possibly be for. Well, I kind of decided, I'm just drawing my own conclusions, that if you have a hydraulic leak, this is where it's gonna actually show up first, because this is the lowest point, and if those lines that are in there, the connected leak, that's where they're gonna leak from. Now I've left this not tightened all the way up. As you can see, my gasket is still loose here. I'll be able to watch for a leak here and here, and if there's any issues, I can drop that back down, retighten. But I tell you what, fishing those two up this way this time, compared to what I did on the Starcraft, was a little tougher. They just don't give you a whole lot of room, but by golly, it will fit. Now it's time to go to the inside of the boat and hook up the, the pump. And when you put the hoses on that piece in the back we just showed you, keep track of which one's going to the upside and the downside. And actually the line that's going directly into the back of the cylinder is the one that's going to raise it up. And whatever line that's plugged into is going to be your up. And that would determine, that was my gray hose, if I remember correctly, from yesterday. We're going to go ahead and clean this tape off of here that I put on to help drag this through. And by golly, it held pretty well. All right, now that we're in here, maybe I should get you guys a shot from this angle. Maybe that'd be better. You might be having a good shot for a minute. We'll try this for a minute. We're gonna go ahead and put the old battery back in now that we know that it's gonna be not in my way. We'll disconnect the negative side first. All right, decisions have been made. Changes are going to happen here because I can't keep things where they were. The old trim pump, let's just say, was in the most awkward situation and position that it could be in a boat. And that's my opinion. They're where they're at on all boats, but in this particular one, it's bolted up tight to the motor back here. Hard to service, hard to get at. Not that you have to service these things very often, but the new mount and stuff doesn't work like I want it to in this application, which is absolutely fine. It's no fault to the mount. It's just the original design, doesn't support it as well. And so what I'm going to do is relocate the battery box more up front here and the trim pump in the back, because I access the battery way more often than I access a trim pump. And so I got my marine grade silicone. I'm going to reattach my battery box to the floor, and we're going to hook the trim pump up to the floor back here, and it's going to be we'll be good with the world. Just got to clean up some serious nastiness that was underneath the battery box. All right, now that we got that cleaned up, let's position this and figure out where we want it to go. I think I'm just gonna sit it right clear here in the back. No reason not to. and anchor it down right there. I'm gonna go ahead and stick a whole bunch of marine grade silicone down in the holes. That's fastened down pretty tighty. Now we can route our pump lines in, which we said the gray was the up and the black was going to be the down one. All right, we're all mounted. Our hose is connected, nice and secure. I'm gonna set the battery over here temporarily to just cycle this through, and we'll fill this up with hydraulic pump fluid. Oh my God, that's heavy. Oh, yes, it seems like they keep getting heavier. But I have a feeling I can stuff my battery box right about here and still get everything behind my cover, which will be awesome. Should work. Let's go ahead and hook up the positive. All right, let's bump the up and down switch to make sure everything still works according to plan before we dump a whole bunch of fluid in it. Looks like it all works. Let's go get our fluid. Okay, on the last one we did, I put in some Amsoil hydraulic fluid. Supposed to be really good stuff, but this time I bought power trim and steering fluid. Actually, I probably would have used this if it would have showed up. I had it on order, but it didn't show up on time. So I went to my local Napa store and I said, hey, and one guy there, he's my oil expert. And I said, what would you use? He goes, I would highly recommend this. So that's what I did. We're gonna give this one a whirl. Let's see if we can get it poured in here without making a mess. It looks the same, it's clear. Now that's almost 1 full quart there. And the cylinders are all the way down right now, so we're gonna raise them up. And let's see if this pump picks up prime okay. We'll go ahead and put the breather cap back on it. And we don't want it to run dry. Let's see what happens here. There, we heard it picking up. I think I got the cables backwards. Let's go all the way. Yeah, my up is my down and my down is my up. That's a 50-50 chance, right? Oh, we emptied her about 3/4 of the way just doing that. Let's make sure we don't run her dry and suck in air. So far, we're almost 1.5 quarts in. Let's finish going up. Well, she appears to be all the way up. Let's go back down. Definitely hear some air going through the pump. That's all the way down. And she puked out a little oil. Go back up. It's all the way up. Let's get some towels under here. Now, since I know everything's backwards, that's all the way up. I want to bring her all the way down and then maybe back up just a touch to take the pressure off the lines. So I have basically a neutral pressure. Then I'll swap my hydraulic lines and hopefully minimize my mess. Let's go back down. I'll go back up a little. Well, I got my box of rags here and a bunch of rags stuck underneath. Let's see how much leakage happens when I switch these hoses. Oh, looks like there might be a fair amount. Wow, that's a lot. As they say, mistakes were made. I don't know how much pressure this has behind it. This one's down to a drip. It's down to a drip now. I think it's safe enough to take them the rest of the way off and not take a face full of hydraulic oil. Maybe. I think I'll hold on to it just in case. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. We got them all switched over now. We'll just wipe up the excess oil that I spilled all over everything. There you have it. Like it never even happened. All right, let's try this again. This time in the right direction. Up. She's right on up there now. Up is up, yay. When you're getting all the air out, you're gonna notice some foaming in your reservoir. But all you can do is let it sit, let the bubbles dissipate out of the reservoir. I can see I'm about 50% bubbles right now. Let me get down here close and show you. So you can see that foaminess at the top. We're just going to stop for now and let that settle out before we continue moving on. But yeah, as you can see, she lifted her right up. Everything's good to go there. Just got to get the rest of the air out of it. All right, folks, there it is, fully mounted in place behind the battery. We're cycled it a few more times, still getting a little bit of air out of it. It only takes about 15 minutes maybe for that air to settle out, which is not a big deal at all. Now we're going to tidy up some things on the outside of the boat. Well, the good news is there's absolutely no leaks underneath here, so we can finish putting all the gaskets in place and tighten it up and seal up the bottom of the boat. Now, you guys didn't think I'd bring you all this way and not let you hear the old 6-cylinder run, would you? So this will be the first startup of the year. It hasn't ran since last fall. It's been a while. And it's been over 6 months, and it's been painful 6 months. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can fire this baby off. First thing, we're going to lower it down before we start it. Never start your engine with it full up. That puts a lot of stress on the CV joints that reside right inside of here. You'll take those out pretty quick if you keep doing that a lot. And it's costly to fix. Follow my channel. I'll show you how to fix those. They're coming up soon. I got one I need to replace. Next thing, water on. So, whoa. Let's go ahead and lower it down now. I'm gonna leave you guys at the back of the boat here so you can hear the rumble. There you go. All right, all the way down, water on. That's not good. She don't appear to be getting any fuel. Well, we're gonna put a little bit right down the old yap. And if she doesn't fire off, then we'll know it's ignition, but I'm also pretty confident it's gas because I see no gas in the carburetor. So we're gonna put a little bit of raw stuff right down the throat. It might be a lot. Well, we know we got ignition. Well, there you have it, folks. We've got the new trim pump installed and functioning perfectly. That thing's a work of art. I love it. We just got done changing the oil on it. We put some new Wix filter and some Rotella straight 30 weight. Since she is a 1973, she likes the old stuff. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Well, hope you folks enjoyed this video. Man, I will admit, getting those hoses in there this time was a little bit of a nightmare, but persistence, bugs, persistence and patience pays off every time. But we got her back together. We started her up. She runs really sweet. Other than she didn't want to go at first, but I poured a little gas down the yap and now she fires and goes every time. Carburetor could be due for rebuild. We'll know next time I take it out in the water, because we'll be able to check to see if it's going to be start then. And also if the accelerator pump may be getting a little tired. That's a carburetor I haven't rebuilt yet because it ran so good when I got it. So we might be messing with that one in the future. So anywho's, that's the saga of the trim on the Cobalt, and that story is now over. You gotta love it when a plan comes together. This is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. And a special thanks to SEI Marine for providing some of the products today that we put together on this boat and make it function like it's brand new again. Nice. You guys take care. Be kind to one another. We'll see you on the next video.